Hey guys, welcome to SuTube. It is May the 8th, and today I want to talk to you about the price of Bitcoin, where I had predicted it was going to go, and where I think it's going to go from here. Last week I had mentioned that we had this 0.618 fib retracement here that I was expecting to be resistance, as well as this purple trend line coming down here. But I had told you that if that breaks, I expected it to do good things, and I think I even made a video since then after I did enter this trade. I took my profits just below 9,000, I think it was. It ended up being something just under a 200% profit, I believe. So it was a great trade, and I took a new one this yesterday morning, sorry, right before work. And by the time I left work, it was about 160% trade, and that was more up here. So I'm going to zoom in. Obviously, this is a 4-hour chart. So those trend lines, they played quite a bit of significance there. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit for you guys and zoom in a little closer. I'm going to do the 15-minute because you guys know that I love pointing those out. But after we broke this white trend line, let me just show you where I got that. I've been pointing out these two massive triangles, and this was the more recent trend line here on a macro scale. This is a weekly chart here. So I pointed out all these white lines, actually I think since my very first video, so you can see how significant they've been, and they've been respected here. But let's go back to the 15-minute chart here. So when we got our close above that white line that I was intending to play, I obviously did, and I had my stop loss just below this structure down here, so I wasn't even that close to getting stopped out here. I ended up taking most of my profits, or I took my position off the table when we got just below 10,000. I was hoping to go a little higher, but we started fighting, and you know what? I figured it was a beautiful trade over the course of a day. So I just took my profits, walked away, and now I'm kind of assessing the situation here. So what I'm looking at right now is between these yellow trend lines. I'm hoping to see a little bit more coiling up here until we do get a close above and then push for our white line here. That would be the white line that I'm most interested in for a macro scale, and where I think we might actually be headed to all-time new highs above $20,000 even if we break this line. That doesn't have to happen, that's just something that's on my radar. We did have this green line of support here that I was watching yesterday. We did break below it, and I actually sent a message to our crypto chat group that I was expecting this yellow range here to possibly play out, and I mentioned that when we were on this candle right about here. So within about an hour we had perfectly tested that line again, so that was bang on. I never did enter a new long position there. Looking back, I probably should have, but I was really hoping I had some more time to get some shit done around the house and then set some trades. Captain Hindsight's a bit of a bitch, but either way, I'm more than comfortable to wait for this range to play out. Because again, if I can get that 15-minute candle close above here with a bit of a retest, I would love to play the range up to this white line with a little bit of leverage, probably about anywhere from 15 to 25x is what I'd most likely be doing. So that's up to about a 70-75% trade there if it does play out. If we break that line, that's where things get really interesting. If we can get some closes above here, especially if we don't just break down below, this line might not be perfect. It's kind of hard to line up exactly how I do with these 15-minute patterns. They seem very accurate, but when you're playing a weekly chart, it's a little harder. The smallest movement on the chart can make quite a difference on these smaller time frames. So if I could get some sort of consolidation up here, I would love to play a big long position there. But we're going to have to see how that plays out, because you guys know from my very first video, I've been pointing out that this was potentially a massive triangle. This is the biggest pattern that I've ever seen in crypto, and I've been trading for, I think, around 2 years, something like that, little over a year, between 1 and 2. Anyways, actually, I basically started trading right at around here, and I learned some painful lessons on the way down, but I also learned how to trade, so whatever, it's a bit of a learning curve. And what I'm looking at now is we're getting really close to this halving date. I have my yellow line here. That's just kind of a ballpark because it's supposed to be happening this month. To be honest, I don't even know exactly what day it is. It could be tomorrow for all I know. But even when we get our Bitcoin halving, that doesn't necessarily mean the price has to jump as everyone's assuming it will. We could actually have this turn into a bit of a descending triangle and it could break to the downside, but just the way markets tend to grow, I mean, here, this is kind of from the COVID shit show that kind of went on across all markets, the stock market, crypto markets, everything just got hammered. But we still found perfect support along this triangle line. And that's why I'm not willing to rule it out yet. I think that there's a very good possibility that if we break to the upside, I know I've pointed this out before, but our measured move would be somewhere around $28,000, and that would be, well, like almost 50% higher than the previous all-time highs, which everyone, well, a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin can never reach $20,000 again just because all they have seen was this action and then stopped paying attention and they don't know how technical analysis actually works. So let's keep that triangle on our radar, guys, because that could be some life-changing money right now, especially if it acts anything like previous markets. I know this looks small in this view, but it's actually quite large. But that, like, we could potentially get some massive price action if FOMO really kicks in. Now there's higher leverage trading, that sort of thing. So technically there can be a lot more money in the market than there was last time. There's more infrastructure for big players and market makers to get involved. So there is the possibility for some crazy money to be earned here if all goes well. And again, this could take months to play out. This doesn't have to be this weekend or this month or anything like that, but who knows how FOMO will kick in with this halving coming up. It very well could happen, so we just want to be ready for that. So again, guys, I'm just kind of watching this yellow range for now. If I extend this green line, that would be something to watch for. Let's maybe change it to about there. And let's say we do end up getting a break out of this pattern, we could be looking at some sort of a retest of that green line for a safe take profit, especially if we happen to hit right where both those lines are intersecting there, approximately, because again, this white line could be out a little bit. But those are kind of some patterns that I'm watching right now. And another thing I want to point out is how well Bitcoin has recovered. I know a lot of people are saying that it failed as a hedge against traditional markets when the COVID breakout happened, that the way Bitcoin was designed, it should have actually taken off rather than crashed with everything else. But it's actually recovered quite beautifully. If we go from where we bottomed out here to approximately where we're sitting right now, Bitcoin has actually recovered. Sorry, let me just try that again here. Bitcoin has recovered over 170% since it bottomed out. If I were to compare Bitcoin to something, I love comparing it to Tesla because I believe in both things long term, and I think Tesla is a very strong acting stock. But even Tesla hasn't had that kind of a move. 140% since bottoming out. Don't get me wrong, that is absolutely great. But Bitcoin is outperforming everything pretty much. Obviously, there's going to be some special cases, but as a whole, Bitcoin has been performing very well since it bottomed out during this whole outbreak. And the way things are going, if the curve is flattening with cases and the world starts to rebound from that, there's a lot of people willing to throw some money in some investments, trying to catch the bit of a dip here. So we're going to have to see how that happens, how it plays out. Either way, the way crypto has been is quite often, even though it crashes hard, it rallies really hard. And it is not out of the ordinary for Bitcoin to outperform pretty much all traditional assets. And if there is another bull market starting here and Bitcoin is about to take off, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit new all-time highs, because that's just what Bitcoin does. It crashes hard, usually about 80 to 90% after a good rally, and then it takes right off again. So that's kind of what it's looking at like right now. We're kind of getting this bit of a staircase, breaking through resistance lines, that sort of stuff. So yeah, this last white line here is very interesting to me. Again, we could break out, we could even just retest it, but if we got some sort of a resist to a support flip and this white line is acting as support, that could be quite the launching pad, guys. So again, just want to throw that on everyone's radar. And with that, that's about all I wanted to show you today. So just stay safe out there, guys. Have a good weekend, and until next time, have a good one.